in the April. Then everybody is going to Bangalore again for main preaching and open a center there. First, before they went for just 2 months. Now they want to open a center there, want to get a land. Then I came to Prabhuji. So Prabhuji said, you go to Bangalore. So before he was a little upset. So when I said I want to go to Bangalore, he was very happy. He said, gave me the blessing. He said, you go to Bangalore. He made a ticket. Then I asked Gurudeva. He said, okay, go to Bangalore now. You preach. He said, and there, because I was a local there. And first I came from Bangalore. Then Chaitanya Prabhu. Then Dandi Maharaj came. Then Vishnu Devat Maharaj. All that. So Gurudeva said, Madhav Maharaj was telling to buy land. And Gurudeva said, what do you want to make it? He said, you want to make a temple then? Okay, try to get a land in the city, he said. So we opened our center in Bangalore 2004. I did Havan, me and Vishnu Maharaj and Giridhara Prabhu, all this we did. This Akshaya Tritiya day we opened this one. And 20 devotees came. First time. We are in rented house, we did that one. Then afterwards we got a contact of Dandi Maharaj. He was preaching in America. So Vaikanas Maharaj write an email for you. Maharaj, please come to Bangalore. So we are all going to 2004 Purushottam Mass. And we went there, took Dandi Maharaj. And we asked Gurudev, we are preaching in Bangalore. This sannyasi from Bangalore, Dandi Maharaj. He was named Bhakti Vignan Maharaj before. So Gurudev gave him sannyas again. Gurudev told him, okay, you go with them and preach in the Bangalore. He said, Dandi Maharaj can be in charge of the temple. But he said, Vaikanas Maharaj is a senior, he said. So we were all preaching together. Then Dandi Maharaj got a land. We wanted to get a land in the temple, in the city, or the temple. But Dandi Maharaj wanted a big land. So he got a 10-acre land, it's far from the city. So 2004, Gurudev, he came to Bangalore, did a nice Pandal program with Dandi Maharaj, Vaikanas Maharaj, Giridhari Prabhu, everybody, all devotees were there. So did nice program. And Gurudev told me to translate in Kannada because local people, Gurudev was giving in Hindi Harikatha, very nice Harikatha. Gurudev was very specific in cutting all ritvik argument. Every 3 times he came to Bangalore, 3 times he cut all ritvik argument. He said, ritvik is bogus, he said. There is no ritvik. Ritvik is like officiating. Like you go to somebody's house, do some puja and this thing, they will give you dakshina, you come back. This is ritvik. This is not permanent relationship, he said. So like that he cut their argument. Then 3 times when he came to Bangalore, he gave all the basic Harikatha, then some Krishna Leela, and 3 times in the Bangalore. He specifically mentioned about different grades of devotees. Brahad Bhagavatamrita, Prahlad Maharaj, Udhava Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Ambarish Maharaj, Hanuman, Pandavas, and Yadus and Uddhavas, Gopis, how is their acts. Like that he was giving very nice Harikatha.
And how sometimes the devotees make connection with Gurudev, and even he may not get the phone call or the letter, but somehow, or they make connection in a Gayatri and they get a response, and the Gurudev lets them know that he knows what they're asking and what they told him. Many incidents like that. But I had an incident like that once when I wrote him a letter. I was living in Vrindavan at the time, and I wrote him a letter of something that was really on my mind and heart. And before he got the letter, he answered me in my heart. It was very, very clear. Yeah, very clear. That's how you can see that someone is an Uttamadhikari. That you can pray to them, they can be anywhere in the world, and they will hear your prayer and they will respond, That's why Srila Prabhupada says in the Nectar of Instruction, in chapter 5, he said, if you're looking for a guru, you should look for Uttamadhikari. He said, you can take Madhyamadhikari guru, but they can only bring you to the level that they are at themselves, So, I feel that we're all, some fortune was there that those of us who were with Srila Prabhupada, and then that was causeless fortune in itself. But then later on, after Prabhupada left, and then somehow by Prabhupada's arrangement, obviously, you know, I was brought into Gurudev's Sangha. And, you know, to tell you the truth, I was totally not ready for it. Mentally, emotionally, or spiritually. I don't feel I was qualified at all. I wasn't qualified to meet Prabhupada either. Not at all. Not at all. Just, he said, you know, he said, you were my causeless mercy. It is no, he said in general to devotees.
Devotees.
You know, I mean, he's also said Bhaktisiddhanta has sent all of you to me to help me. You know, and one devotee asked Prabhupada, well, why is it that we were born in Western families and meat-eating families all over the world? He said, yes, he said, just so that this movement could get spread, that's why, you know. But, you know, I don't know why. How can I understand why Srila Prabhupada would have picked me up? And again, why Gurudev had mercy on me.
Like, you know my father, right? So, Prabhupada disciple, I was born in the devotee movement in Spain. And then in England, at Bhaktivedanta Manor, I grew up there. And then we moved to Denver when I was 10, 9, something like that. And long story short, Mayapur Gurukul. And there was a really good program they had in ISKCON Mayapur. It was like a really strong, solid program. And I was getting really into spiritual stuff in the Dharma Association. And I was like, okay, well, I need a guru, because to do bhakti, you gotta have a guru, right? And then I was like, who's the person? And my teacher at the time, they're one of my favorite teachers. He was into Harikesh Swami in ISKCON. Right, and he was at that time he was the head of the GBC, he was the head of education, so in the Gurukul he was he was giving a lot of money to the Gurukul, and he was the guru of my teacher. So I was like, well, he seems to be the top of everything, is probably the best bet, right? to go for him. So I was like, okay, I'm on Harikesh, kinda. And then he fell down, and I was like, I was angry, I was heartbroken, I was like, what's the need anyway? And then I had some people in my family were into the ritvik idea of Prabhupada, it's the only guru you need. And I was like, yeah, well, with all these guys, screw that, we've got Prabhupada, right? That's all we need. Then, so in Gurukul we would be in Mayapur most of the year, then during the rainy season would be vacation time for 1 or 2 months, where I would go back to England for some time. And my father was here for Parikram, and it was in 98, this was 1998, and my father was doing Parikram with Gurudev, and I was, so some of the time I was here in Vrindavan and doing Parikram, and we're staying, met him in Mathura, then I didn't feel too much then, and then we came in Vrindavan Parikram, and we're in Rup Sanat, and every day Gurudev was giving class, and I was there hearing Harikatha, coming for the programs, and I remember being attracted, and then being like, no, right, I'm not going there, right, and I was like, oh, but no, Prabhupada, only Prabhupada, right, I remember like pulling myself away, and then, yeah, then my Gurudev my father used to tease me, oh, you're going to come to Tush Gurudev and sing Gurudev Kripa Vinda. I was like, no, not happening, right, you don't know. And so my ego was like, I'm not going to do this, right? And I've got a big ego, if you know me, right? But then, in other words, when I get something fixed and something I'm fixed on, I can get pretty stubborn. And then, how do you say, we had a darshan with Srila Gurudev, like a meeting with Srila Gurudev. So I asked him, how do you recognize a bona fide spiritual master? And this story I actually don't tell people, but you asked, and I wrote it one time recently, so otherwise I've kept the secret like the whole time, so it's very personal. I said, how do you recognize a bona fide spiritual master? He said, you can't. You go to someone who's hearing properly, chanting properly, remembering properly, and they'll bring you to a bona fide guru, but you can't recognize yourself. Then I said, well, that's how I did, and that's how I went to Harikesh. And then Gurudev, he didn't say I thought he was going to do like some philosophical thing. He just said, no, how did you come to me? And I said, my father brought you. And he said, no, Krishna brought you to me. He said, my relationship is eternal. Nothing could ever come between this relationship. And then I had nothing to say after that. It just completely blew me away. I'm still blown away from that. It's like nothing could have come in between this relationship. It's eternal. And I was dumbfounded. Then I was like, I want to take initiation. The next day I went up to Gurudev, and he pulled me right in the room. There wasn't the time or anything, and he gave first initiation. And I was 13 years old, I think, 13, 14, I don't know, 1998. And then I was in ISKCON Mayapur, which is like the headquarters of ISKCON, and they were very much against Gurudev at that time. So I kept it a secret. I wouldn't tell people. because I almost, some people knew and almost got kicked out of the Gurukul for that, so I would always like keep Gurudev as a secret in Mayapur. So then Gurudev was my guru, and I was a total fan. I had like every night I had like the one tape of Gurudev, his singing, and like secretly, and I had a cassette player because it was that at that time, and at night I would listen to Gurudev's their songs, Bolo Hari, Hari Mukunda Murari, like that, and hide some of his books. But then I was still in Gurukul from till 2001. So then we would see on Parikram, because Kartik time was also the vacation time, so I would come for Kartik for some of Kartik that time. I also remember I met Prabhuji that time, was interesting, I was remembering today. And so I'd get some of Kartik, and then I would also get, sometimes my father would come and visit in Gurpurnim, and so I'll take my son out for a few days, and then we'd go to Navadvip. So then I got the next year of Gopal Mantra, 99, then 2000 Diksha. In Navadvip, both times, and then 2001 we finished Gurukul, and I was like, what are we going to do when we finished Gurukul? And I was like, oh, I'm just going to go and ask Gurudev what to do. And so just when I finished Gurukul, like a week or a month or something, like shortly after I finished, Gurudev came to England program, and I was just back in England after finishing Gurukul, and Gurudev, he said, come meet me in Russia for the festival, and then come to India. And I was like, okay, my mom was in Spain, right, and I just finished Gurukul. She's like, finally I'm going to have some time with my son, right, after being gone for 5 years. And I was like, Gurudev went somewhere for a week before, so I went to my mom in 3 days, and by the way, I'm leaving in 3 days. What? I'm not going to let you go. And then finally she let me go, right? And then flew into Moscow, went to Russian festival, came to Mathura, and the rest is history.
A lot of the girls and stuff, he told them to preach and do all that kind of stuff, but he never said that with me. It was one time he got me to speak, but it was just to embarrass me in Hawaii. It was very bad. I was going through a hard time in my life, and it was Hawaii 2007. Like, my mom had just passed away, and so I'd gone on, you know, I was a brahmacharini in India for a long time, and I kind of, my mom passed away, and there was all this stuff going on in my life, and I kind of went on this downward thing, and I went to Hawaii to be with Gurudev there in 2007, and I had gone out that night with a bunch of devotee kids and stuff, but we weren't doing anything spiritual. We were just, you know, doing unfavorable things for bhakti. And Gurudev, and there was a lot of people there, like probably 1,000 or more, and I was sitting at the very, very, very back of the class, and Gurudev says, her, Krishna Priya, you know, and he's pointing to the back, and he says, get up and tell everyone what is anukul, what does anukuliyena mean, what does it mean, what does favorable for bhakti mean? And I was like, I can't talk, I can't, you know, like this, and he wouldn't. It literally took 10 minutes, but he wouldn't let me just brush it off and not speak. He made me get up, then he made me go to the very front, and I was just really embarrassed. But yeah, I had to explain the whole, what does anukuliyena, Krishna anushilina mean? But that was more of a punishment as opposed to, look how learned I am.